Alright, so Era of Althea has had a huge update that's just dropped, and I'm going to be also going over a tier list for grinding for everyone out there that's interested. So, first off, I'm going to be talking about the update, something that's new that I do need to address to everyone. So, if you didn't know already before, when you wanted to redeem codes, back then, you can just redeem them whenever. You can make alt accounts, you can redeem them, just stick whatever magic you want. If you do get it, you get it. Then they changed it to a level 60 requirement, which was honestly, it was kind of bad for them because the new players they had to grind out with maybe a magic they didn't want or they thought it was bad, and they just couldn't get stuff done with that. Then they changed it down to 15, which is pretty fine in my opinion. 15 is not really hard to get, especially if you can just use fist. You don't really rely on magic when you get to level 15. Once you do get to level 15, you could do spin. And now there's a new requirement. It just dropped around like almost an hour ago, but all you have to do is have your Roblox account be at least 30 days old or older. So yeah, it's 30 days. It's not bad. You can play on your main account, you can spin on your main account. If you're new to the game and you just joined with your main account, you're like, oh, okay, I can spin whatever I want now. Cool. Not only that, 2 new codes. One of them is like just new, they just dropped. I'll make sure to put the codes down in the description if you do want to redeem it. I don't know about the other code, but this one gives 25. One previously from like 2 days ago dropped 75. But yeah, not only that, but another huge update. That's a good update for the new players. So there's also an update for the max level players, high level players, however you want to say it. But yeah, for sure, this one is very nice, and this goes out for the people that do want to grind, bosses just for the drops. For me, I've been grinding Necromancy for a long time now, and it's been getting tedious because I have to go back and forth for the quest to try to get the drop. But now you can just you don't need the quest for the drops anymore, which is actually insane. It's very helpful. And yeah, but you do need to be that level to. So let's say so ROG, right? You have to be level 280 to get the quest. If you're level 279, you can't get the drops because you're not high enough level to actually get the drop. So you're not going to be able to get the drop basically if you're not that level to redeem the quest. But now you don't need the quest at all. You just have to have that level requirement to get the drops. So that's a huge update already just from that. So shout out to D-Test. He's been working hard. Just a lot of quality of life changes, a lot of bugs being fixed. So yeah, shout out to him. Enough of that. I don't know if there's anything else I haven't discussed about this new update. There's a lot of fixes, like I've said, with like bosses, NPCs, mobs, a lot of that stuff, but I feel like it's not very much to talk about. So we're now going to go into the tier list, and if I didn't explain any like important updates in this video, you can go down in the comments and make sure you can let me know or let other people know as well. So enough of that. I'm gonna be explaining a grinding tier list. So PvE just basically means you versus mobs versus bosses. It's because could be seen in many different ways, but just at the end of the day, take everything with a grain of salt. This is all in my opinion. All of this is just in my opinion. So let's get started. First thing I do, what is this? This is anti-magic. So anti-magic has 3 skills. Apparently if you're gonna add a 4th, and 2 of those skills are actually pretty nice. Doesn't seem god tier for farming, but it does seem nice. You do get a form, which makes you faster and makes you do more damage with your autos. You get a skill, a big AoE skill, which hits more than one player, I believe, for sure. It's a punch on the ground. It takes a while to cast, I think. There's also a spin. The spin is actually what makes this very high tier. If it didn't have that spin, I'd probably put it like at a B or C tier. But since that spin does like pretty good damage, and it does do 10 hits now, so they did nerf, but it's still pretty good. I'd have to put it at an A tier for sure. The mobility is nice. A lot of things with farming is getting to places and back. I'm gonna be going over that a lot in today's video. Just be wary of that. But yeah, getting places, in my opinion, is probably one of the most tedious things. Next one is compose. Compose, it's not the best. Actually, it's one of the best, but it's not the worst. I put it at an A tier as well. It does have a long range skill. The only problem that I have is it has cosmic bullets. Let me go over here. Where's it at? Cosmic bullets right here. These it has 2 big AoE spells. That's nice for farming big waves of bosses, or not bosses, but like NPCs. The only problem with this is it does good damage, but it just sometimes just the move bugs and the balls just disappear. This one's alright. So I have to probably put Compose at an A tier. The bullets didn't bug. I'd probably put it at an S tier, but sometimes, most of the time, they do bug. And I've had this for a good while now. I don't know if they fixed it or not. You can let me know. But yeah, just from my knowledge, I put this at an A tier. Next one we have is Dark. So Dark is, I like to see Dark as like a reformed Compose for sure. Only thing that Dark lacks is probably an AoE skill, and the only like big AoE skills it has is probably just Dark Tremor. Not that much range on Dark Tremor, unfortunately. Dark Eruption does have good range. It's just like, you know, it's just not as like big of an AoE, but it does have 2 really good skills that are very good for farming bosses, which I do enjoy. But yeah, Dark, I'd actually probably, this might be controversial, but I'd probably put Dark at an S tier for sure. Next up is Demon. So they did remove a skill for Demon, which was a lot of like knives that are being shot out. It has 4 skills now. 1 very long range skill that does like alright damage, but it has a very short cooldown, which is nice, I guess. Another skill it has is a long beam in front of you, which is alright. I'll just bring it up here. I had it earlier. Right here. Yeah, they removed this for new demon users, but if you're an old demon user, which I'd probably say it's really good for them, but probably if you're watching this video, you're probably just not knowing which magic to decide. But for demon, it's a nice option if you are low on spins and you don't know if you should keep this or not. I feel like demons, it's a pretty safe option. If you're low on spins and you get demon, you should get it. It's probably not the best right now, but it is an A tier. It's not also like bad at all. Very good damaging skills. Very good for farming. Would not mind. So Explosion. Okay. So they did a lot of fixes with Explosion. And going by the Trello, I don't know if they changed anything. This is like a very long range skill. It's nice. I don't know the damage on it, but it should be decent. This one's not bad, but it's also not great. Not the worst, but it's not like, you know, I'd say this is the mid skill for farming. This one, just a big AoE around you, pretty mid as well. But the blast force, it's really nice. Like again, I'm gonna be going over mobility. So a lot of farming in this game later on. What it might look like is you go to an NPC, an area of like where the NPCs where you're trying to farm, you kill them, use a teleport crystal, and then you gotta run back. And a lot of the times it's tedious just running back, just for the, and it might take like a mile or so, you know, just to get there, and it's kind of tedious at times. But Explosion, I'd probably put at a B tier. 2 of the skills seem pretty mid. But yeah, it's not the worst magic, it's not the best magic, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just, in my opinion, it's just mid. The only thing that's keeping it from a C tier to up to a B is probably just the mobility skill. Mobility skill seems pretty nice. Next up is Fire. Fire looks actually, in my opinion, horrendous, and the only thing I've seen that they buffed about it, I don't know, you can correct me on this, but it's the firewall. And projectiles in this game, when you're grinding, projectiles mean or a projectile wall means absolutely nothing. So if you have a skill that blocks projectiles and you're trying to farm, I don't know if there's an NPC that throws stuff at you. I don't know about any of that, but all I know is that I don't know if Frog's like hammer slam when it like makes a big wave at you. I don't know if you could block that with that, but other than that, this Fire has no use. If you roll Fire, I'm sorry, if that was your last roll and you got Fire, good luck. You pray that you're gonna get another code to get more spins, because Fire is not it. Get Fire, you should definitely roll this. This doesn't seem good for PvP or PvE, but this is a PvE tier list, so yeah, we're just gonna stick to grinding. Next one is Ice. Ice doesn't seem too bad. Frost, same thing. Ice, Frost, same thing. Ice Crystal, it's just a beam. It's like the light skill, which is not that bad. It's not long, but you know, it's not short either. So yeah, it's good range. Second skill, it's nice for training mobs. Doesn't seem as useful for bosses. Bosses will fold you if you do cast a skill. This one's a wall. This one is good for PvP, but I'm not going to talk about PvP. This doesn't seem as good. This one is all right. So in my opinion, ice is probably like mid. I put this above explosion though. Can't choose between explosion and ice. Ice is probably the way to go. Next up is gravity. So for gravity, I've not seen gravity like at all. I might have to add a row below and say do not know. So I'm sorry if you get gravity and you have a good amount of spins left and you're watching this video and you're like, let me see what this guy says about gravity, because I actually just don't know at all what gravity does. All I've seen it do is just, if you do see a video on gravity, you can use that as your reference point, because I actually don't know anything about gravity. I don't think the Trello has anything on gravity either. Let me check gravity. Yeah, it just has the name of the skills, nothing really much about it. Healing. I've had healing when the update first came out. There's only 3 skills. I don't think they added anything about healing at all. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's nice for when you're in a party with other people and you do need to heal them. Other than that, if you're grinding alone, it's near useless. You just heal yourself up. No damage. You basically rely on your sword swings, which is very risky if you're farming bosses. Sometimes maybe even the NPCs. But yeah, healing. It's basically D tier. It's with fire. Next up is Heavenly Body. So Heavenly Body, it's definitely an A tier. Definitely not better than Compose. I'd say Demon's up there. Demon is probably up there between these two. Yeah, I'd like to see Compose as a reformed version of Heavenly Body. Heavenly Body just has one of those skills that just blocks projectiles. Oh, actually, wait, they did add this skill. So it's basically like, I'd put this like, I don't know if it's, see, the time when they said they released Sema, this skill right here, at the time I had Heavenly Body and I never got this skill. Trying to farm for it, and they said they replaced it with Heavenly Shield, which is right here. But I think at the time they replaced it with, I don't know. It's very weird. It's very janky. But if this Trello is correct and they do have all these skills, definitely an A tier. You can pick either or. These are basically like reskins of each other in my opinion. But next up is light. Light is actually like, I actually really enjoy light. The time I had it, I'd be farming with it, and these skills are actually really nice besides the last one. 3 very useful skills for farming for sure. But the last one, there's of no use. I'd probably put light in probably very high A. Maybe not S, but very high A. Next one is Necromancy. Necromancy right now I think does literally nothing to NPCs or bosses. People that had Necromancy, I've talked to like a couple of them. They said the skeletons don't attack bosses. I don't know if they fixed it or not. I don't know too much about like all these fixes that D-Test has been dropping. But I don't know if they hit regular mobs, but all this book does, it's good for summoning skeletons. It's good for other stuff. This is mainly a PvP type of snap, but we are talking about grinding today. If you do want me to make a PvP tier list for the snaps, go ahead. You can let me know. Because if I do make it PvP and PvE tier list, it might take like almost an hour or so. Because I do have to go in depth for everything if I do want to talk about PvP. Next up is sound. Sound, I've seen it in PvP. It seems really good for PvP. I'm not going to talk about PvP as much. I'm going to bring it up, but I'm not go too much in depth. But for PvE, for grinding, this actually seems very, very solid. It does have a nice mobility move to get you high up in places if you are trying to go to like the areas that you're trying to farm at. Nice little, this is like the ball drop for demon and light. You can just aim wherever you want and it'll hit them. This one is just a big AoE around you, trying to get them off of you, and this one is just a good old little like a scream in front of you. Yeah, honestly, this is an S tier in my opinion for farming. I do suggest it because sometimes when you are farming, you might get jumped by people and you need to like maybe get away, maybe get them off of you. This is a very solid one for sure when you are trying to grind. Next up is Spatial. So Spatial, it has its ups and downs. So so it's very nice for going to your quest board and back, but other than that, for bosses, it's almost no use. But the thing about this spatial is Rog's Hammer. So Rog's Hammer, it has a slow cast, but when you're going against mobs, a slow cast almost means nothing because you're just gonna keep them there. They don't know how to dodge. Like these mobs they don't dodge, so they just stand there. They're grouped up. This actually does huge damage apparently for the hammer. I've never had it. Yeah, but yeah, the hammer does huge damage, and the teleport skill seems super useful, especially when you're trying to grind, you're trying to level up, you're trying to go to the quest board, go back to the place you're trying to grind at. Basically, this is like a free teleportation crystal, but there's like almost like no casting time, because when you do use the teleport crystal, you can't use it in combat, and you can't use it as fast. So yeah, spatial, if you do get it, you're trying to grind, keep it. Very good, very solid. Next up is time. Time apparently got worse. It used to be a PvP book. Now it's like a little bit lean towards PvE. I heard they're gonna buff it, but in my opinion, it's not like this tier, it's not D tier. But there is a movement speed buff for the book, so I'll probably put it at a C tier. I'm not too educated, like too much, don't have too much knowledge about time. They added a couple of, let me check actually. A couple of attack moves. Time warp, I'm pretty sure was removed. And that's it. Wow, okay. Yeah, can't really have too much reference there, but yeah. A couple of damaging moves that they added, not too much. But it was better than last time, grinding wise. Only thing that sucked was that they removed time warp. At the time when I had time, I've had it for a couple of like levels, and I just used it just for warping to places and back. So yeah, that was like only probably like the nice thing about the time at the time was time warp. Next up is water. Water, don't know too much about it. Never really found interest in water. Never seemed like the safe, a nice safe option. This one seems nice for farming. The only problem is it does ragdoll the smaller NPCs. This one is like the light beam, and yeah, it's just this one. It seems mid. The skill, just a long range skill. This one's not as long. It's just the light beam. This one, only problem is if this didn't ragdoll, probably go a higher tier, and then the wall means almost nothing. I'd probably put this at a probably around a B tier. It's not as bad as time, but it is better. Next up is wind. Wind, I actually like. I've had it for a good amount of time when I was farming, and this wind, in my opinion, is the best option, the best safest option for when you're low on rolls. Same thing with time, but I feel like wind might be probably an A tier. It's not as good as dark when it comes to grinding, but yeah, the blades are nice. They do a good amount of damage. They're not as scattered, like as far apart, so they will hit an NPC if you aim it correctly. This is nice. The 3 tornadoes, that's nice for when you're grouping up like maybe the Abus, the G Knights, the Scorpion, the Mantises, all of that. Same thing with these two. You can aim this wherever, which is also really nice if you're trying to get a little bit of damage in to get credit for killing mobs. This one's nice if they're all in front of you, and this one does do a lot of ticks over time, which is actually really nice. So yeah, that probably it varies between S and A. Probably put at like the highest A tier. So yes, this is my tier list for grinding. Remember, take everything with a grain of salt. Just take everything in. Just be aware that this is all in my opinion. If you have a disagreement with me in any sorts of these at all, you can let me know down in the comments. I'm sure other people might agree, might disagree. At the end of the day, this is all my opinion. Hope you guys do enjoy the update. This update, it's huge. It's very nice for newcoming people, very nice for the people that may be like mid-level, maybe people that are even max. These are just very nice quality of life updates, and I'm here to make you a tier list of what to use or how to use these. Well, not how to use them, but just a good generalization of the tier list right now, in my opinion, of grinding. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys stay safe. Take care. Bye.